Hello and welcome to another episode of Work 2.0, the podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Wells, and I'm delighted to be joined today by another executive from DeVry University. As you know, a few weeks ago, or a few episodes ago, I was talking with Elise Awad, the first female president and CEO of DeVry University. And today I am joined by none other than Scarlett Howery, who is DeVry University's vice president when it comes to public workforce solutions. So I'm so delighted to have you on this podcast, Scarlett. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about because
Yeah.
you were in my home country a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Lucia, I'm from the UK, but my family, my grandmother's from on my maternal side from St. Lucia. And anyone who sees my LinkedIn or anything knows I absolutely love that island. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful,
Mm.
beautiful. So how did you find it over there?
Oh my gosh, it was beautiful to be there.
Yeah.
Actually, it was my second time there, but this time really getting to know the people,
Mm.
understanding the culture and the industry was amazing. It was a
It
great
is,
time.
it is, yeah, yeah. And I think it's such a shame. One of the things that I noticed when I was there is obviously, it's a third world country, but it's such a shame because there's so much potential, so much growth and
Yeah.
opportunities, especially for the young people there that I noticed when I was there. Coming from my background, our backgrounds both in when it comes to labor development and seeing that potential and then coming back to the UK, it's a stark contrast when it comes to development, when it comes to economic opportunity. So I'm so glad you were there. Tell me more about like what you were doing on the ground in St. Lucia and why St. Lucia of all places,
Yeah, I love the question, why St. Lucia? I go, why not St. Lucia?
right?
Really, St. Lucia is a natural fit
Mhm.
for what DeVry has brought to the market, which is our Bridge to Brilliance scholarship. It's an opportunity for us to provide workforce solutions and provide training, development, upskilling to the individuals that want to have those skills that are most in demand in industry in St. Lucia. And we
Mhm.
know that that industry is, hospitality, and we know that it's, green energy is another one of those. And I also
Yeah.
think agriculture is another one.
Yes, and
All of those,
tourism for sure.
yeah, all of them shaped by technology. It is
Mm.
moving rapidly. And what's so great about St. Lucia is I think the partnership is going to be phenomenal because there's a huge focus on education and a huge focus on workforce development. I heard it when I was at Sir Arthur Lewis's Community
Yes.
College.
Yeah.
We talked about it, tremendously and all the work that they're doing to prepare the workforce. So I think
Mm.
that partnership is going to be exceptional.
Mm.
We also, while on ground, partnered with St. Lucia's Hospitality and Tourism Association, um,
Awesome.
which was great, right? So that
Yeah.
partnership is going to help those organizations that are in hospitality and tourism
Mhm.
provide upskilling and reskilling to their employees, which
That
is,
really warms my heart to hear, actually,
yeah,
because like I've been to so many resorts in the island. The first time we went to St. Lucia was last year. I took my mom there for a birthday as a surprise for her 45th birthday. We went to the Royalton Resort, which is absolutely amazing, like
beautiful.
5-star,
Yeah,
beautiful resort, all inclusive. We've been to that resort like probably 4 or 5 times. I've lost count in the past year and a half. That's how much we love it. But then
yeah.
we've also tried other resorts, and it's really clear that the hospitality and tourism industry is so huge. And I noticed that people who are working as butlers or even entertainment staff, sometimes they call them vibe team, those people are so skilled, and a lot of young people, they're so skilled. And they just need to know that opportunity exists and to have access to that opportunity. And because otherwise they naturally just limit themselves to the confines of their job. And there's nothing wrong with their job, but just to know that there's more opportunity out there, especially economic opportunity, it's just amazing to know that you've had that partnership, especially with hospitality.
Yeah, that's exactly what the Bridge to Brilliance scholarship is. It's
Mm,
about access. Reality is that most employees, most companies know that their employees want to have the right skills so that they can
mm,
be more efficient and they can help their organizations to kind of move forward.
mm,
It's just about access. Do they have
exactly.
the dollars to be able to do it? Do they
Yeah.
have the time and do they have the resources to be able to get the skills that they need. And that's truly what Bridge to Brilliance is about, is providing them with the scholarship, providing them with the resources around our student support advisors and others to really ensure that learners gain those skills. And quite frankly, our classes are 100% online. So that's another way that it meet you where you are accessible.
Exactly. That's fantastic. So this kind of, obviously with Work 2.0, the podcast, we always like to be future thinking, looking ahead to the future of work. What do you feel would happen if we don't continue to provide and be proactive in providing upskilling opportunities to people, not just in third world countries like St. Lucia, but even in, westernized countries like the UK and the United States? What if we don't seek out people who are naturally shut out from those opportunities and find them and provide that access to them? What do you think would happen in the next 5 years?
I think that's a really great way for us to really think about, like, what would be the worst case scenario if we didn't give access to every individual that has the ability to be able to gain the skills that are most in demand for industries. If we did not give access, what we cause is for industries and economies to stall, because we know right now that there is not enough talent globally, not enough talent to close the gap on the opportunities for many industries. So we hear this within cybersecurity, for instance.
Of course,
We hear it within manufacturing, that companies are saying we don't have the right amount of skills or that number of individuals that have those skills to help us to move forward. And specifically when there's competition across the globe, right, within the island, within the US throughout, it's really important that you take the talent you have where you have it, you meet them where you are, and you provide them with access. So without it, you stall. With it, you allow individuals to continue to grow, and to continue to provide the resources that are necessary for the growth of the economy within those markets. So in St. Lucia, it's so important for us to take those individuals that are currently working in hospitality and tourism, working in agriculture, provide them with the skills, and ensure that they're able to then move those industries forward.
Yeah, and when you talk about demand in certain industries, you mentioned like with cybersecurity, I mean, there's so many talent gaps, but especially in tech, and especially when it comes to AI, I think that's massively accelerated the talent gap, because now we're seeing, I actually just a couple of hours ago released a Forbes article talking about are AI skills like more important than a degree?
I just read it.
You did?
Yes.
Okay, right. And in there, I was actually quite fascinated doing the research for it, because just seeing the demand amongst employers and seeing where there is a talent gap, and to think that we're like 2 years or over 2 years into mainstream AI since ChatGPT came out, and yet there's still a massive talent gap globally. It's quite concerning. It is alarming, and we've got so much work to do. And I think one of the good things about AI is that it kind of accelerates speed of learning. It provides access to opportunities where there are barriers traditionally, like now more people are becoming entrepreneurs who couldn't have done that before, things like that. But then at the same time, there is that gap where if you don't know anything about AI, or don't have access to understanding the technology and how it works, and AI fluency, you're going to be way behind. And I feel like people who, like when I was in St. Lucia at the time, there was a lot of people that I spoke to who didn't even know what AI was in the context of the workforce, which is alarming. But I'm glad that we were bringing that opportunity to them, because it will help them be so much ahead, and in closing that skills gap and positioning them for opportunities, even when it comes to remote work, like working in other countries and things like that. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
So taking it a little bit personal now, for you growing up and even in your career at DeVry, how much would you attribute your career success and where you are today as a VP to upskilling?
Man, that's a great question. My entire life, I've seen the importance of higher education and how it can change the trajectory of not just your career, but your life, right? You, your family, and those who come after you. And I feel the same way about upskilling and reskilling. We now know, and if I go back to what you just shared about the article you wrote, I don't think it's a either or. I think it's how do you take higher education and make it flexible enough so that you can gain the skills in
Yeah,
AI while also getting the degree. And
that's
that's
right.
what we do so well at DeVry. I don't mean to be, like to speak on it in a way of, but we're the only ones that are doing it. But the reality
Yeah.
is that it's important for us to be flexible and to provide upskilling and reskilling that
Mm,
meets people where they are. And that's why it's so important to me to
mm,
continuously learn. It's highly important to me today. I'm still learning about AI on a daily basis. It's
yeah.
important for us to build partnerships with industry and companies so that those companies understand how to use what their resources are to provide upskilling and reskilling to their employees in a way that provides them with access. And that's what we do at DeVry, just with our
Mm,
own talent, as well as we want to ensure that we're providing that to companies as well. So I think long and short of it, it's critical to, where I am today, understanding that higher education is something that is so important. But in today's world, I got my degree, a while ago. In today's world, it's not just about the degree, it's
yeah.
about ongoing lifelong learning.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people get it wrong. Like they'll say, "Oh, I graduated now, my work is done." No,
Yes.
you've got a whole lot more learning to do
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
until
And
you
that's,
retire.
yes. And so I think that's where people are trying to maybe make the choice of which one do I take? You take them both.
Yeah.
You need the degree, you need to have the AI skills, you need to have the upskilling, but how do we do that? How do we combine that into one? I think is the most important piece of the puzzle here.
Yeah, and I'm seeing, certain places like Coursera, they offer degrees as well, like they partnered with universities. But I like the way they're doing it it seems very practical, focused like on today's real world skills that are needed. They're taking that forward thinking approach to not just say, okay, well, you can study a degree with us online, but actually ensuring that there's practical real world life skills. We used to call them soft skills, more like power skills. Like communication, negotiation, AI, all those kind of things. Well, AI is not a power skill, but all those
Yeah.
kind of things to ensure that you're not just getting a degree, but you're actually prepared for the actual real world of work. And
Yeah.
I think what you've highlighted, what you're doing with DeVry, I wish other higher education institutions would really copy and model that, because in general, we're seeing that higher education is failing Gen Zers. I'm a Gen Zer, just borderline Gen Z millennial. But I'm seeing from my research and from talking to people that people come out of higher education and still confused about how to function in a real workplace setting. And then, you get employers firing Gen Z graduates saying they're lazy and they don't have any work ethic and soft skills. And so I love that you at DeVry University are very focused on that practical nature of don't just get the degree, get the actual workplace skills so that you can thrive long term. That's awesome.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Yeah, and just my final question, I guess, from that. So, in terms of the future of upskilling, where do you see it progressing? Like, what do you think people can look out for and expect in the future when it comes to upskilling? And how do you think AI will play a role in that future as well?
Yeah, so upskilling is going to become probably much faster and much more personalized. So when you think about upskilling and you think about AI, it is understanding you as the learner individually in how and what skills you need to have. So what I would expect to happen and what's already happening is we're seeing AI become a tool that you can use literally daily to give you the short form skills you need to be able to then use them immediately within your company. We expect that AI tools will be used to not only do the training, but also will include those in much of the upskilling that you'll get as well.
Right.
For instance, at DeVry, I like to think about this as stackable, right? So upskilling is about stacking a skill on top of the
Yes.
next skill so that you
Yes.
learn in a fluent way. And then you're able to use that immediately. That's exactly what you can expect from AI or from upskilling moving forward. And you hear this from employees. Employees are saying, I want to have a particular skill today that I can then use tomorrow to get me ahead at my company. And that's
Yeah.
what upskilling will become in the future, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important piece of it.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned skill stacking. That's a concept which I think has been coined kind of relatively recently, but it's such a powerful concept. I was talking to a Coursera executive from Europe, and it was actually, I initially wanted to include it as part of one of the podcast episodes, but we didn't get to. But I wrote about it, and what he was saying is the beauty of skill stacking is it puts you in like the top 3% of earners.
Yeah.
Because when you stack the right skills, like you could have communication skills, you could have negotiation, you could have AI, and these are just random skills floating around. When you stack them, when you learn them, and then you stack them even when it comes to building a business, the income potential is like there's no limit. It's massive.
Yes.
Because then you become so in demand in your industry. Like you have a very unique skill stack that other professionals don't have, and you can use that to your advantage.
Yeah, it's what we do, Rachel, at DeVry as well. We stack starting off with a certificate. So you take those courses and you complete that certificate quickly, right? Within less than a year. And then you're able to go immediately to work, get into those entry roles. And now you're able to then stack that into the associate, then into the bachelor's, those same skills, right? So you're not losing any of those skills. You're stacking them so that you gain the next level of knowledge and can move into that next level of role. That's critical. I think that's what is most important for us to really in higher ed to be thinking about. We have to think like you've shared about Coursera, we have to think that way. We have to think like that in higher educated, be much more flexible so that they gain those skills that they need immediately. Again, meeting someone where they are, not where you want them to be, but where they are right now so they gain the skills that they need.
Absolutely. Well, Scarlett, thank you so much. And just a bit of a trivia question. When are you coming back to St. Lucia?
Immediately. As soon, Rachel, when will you be there? I'll be there.
January. I'll see you there.
Okay, there we go.
All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. If you are concerned about your future, your job, your career, and you want advice or tips, or just want to stay abreast of the future of work in AI and money and entrepreneurship, feel free to follow Work 2.0, the podcast. It's available on all podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, you name it. Follow, do click like to this episode, comment and share your thoughts, and do share this with a coworker or a friend. And let's get everyone on board so we're all ready for the future of work. All right, I will see you in the next episode.